Welcome to Issues That Matter. I'm Cynthia Pooler. My guest today is Leo Zacky, and I'm going to create a new segment to my Issues That Matter, where I'm going to be interviewing people who have thrown their hat into the public arena, and I want them to continue to have a voice. So my first voice is Leo. So Leo, you live in California, and I'm sure you, like a lot of other people, have been affected by the fires. Tell us a little bit about how it started.
Well, there's quite a few fires that are raging right now in Los Angeles where I live. I personally have lost power at my home. I'm in the level 2. They call it a set. It's ready, set, go for the evacuation orders. But I have been going into the zone with my press pass because I do a radio and TV broadcast. So I've been able to get into the police lines there, and I've seen the devastation firsthand of what's happened in the Palisades fire exclusively. But there are a lot of fires that have been burning in and around Los Angeles that have been started by arsonists. And to add insult to injury, you've got looters that are going in and taking advantage of the stretched, very thin police force.
So you you ran for governor. When did you, excuse me, when did you decide to do that?
Uh, I had flirted with the idea back in 2016 after Donald Trump had won his first election.
Hmm.
And I was a board member of the California Poultry Federation at the time because of the industry my family and I were in. And it was my family wasn't too keen on me running for public office because they were afraid that we would face boycotting for our business. So I decided not to do that, take care of the family and the family business first. But after we lost our business in January of 2019 due to overregulation and the high cost of utilities, and just all the unfair business practices here in California that forced us to close. I knew something needed to change. And then after watching the 2020 election, and clearly it was very fraudulent, I decided that enough was enough and I needed to do something. And I said, I'm going to run for governor. And been running with it ever since.
Now, did you ever run for public office before?
No, I didn't. And I didn't want, and I still don't want to make a career out of politics. I simply want to go in and do the best for the people of California because my experience in business, having been, a senior executive at Zacky Farms, my family's company, having that ability to just meander as I needed in the business and look for issues and develop solutions and just work with people in all the different uh facets of the business, that flexibility helped me make the business able to survive as long as it did under those harsh circumstances that we were faced with. So I want to be able to do that for the people of California and be able to bring the solutions that are developed to the table because leadership really is from the top down. If you have people that are unmotivated and uncaring at the top, well, that resonates with all the people underneath. Because if the people underneath say, "Oh, well, the boss doesn't show up on time and he doesn't show up well dressed and he doesn't put his best foot forward and he's lackadaisical," well, I can operate that way too. So I don't want to have that be the situation in California anymore. I intend to lead by example.
Okay, so how long has Newsom been governor?
He was elected in 2018, so he's been in for 6 years. So we are going to have to suffer under him for another 2 years unless we can get him recalled. I know we had a recall here in California that didn't go through, unfortunately, but yeah, he's
He
been in for
didn't
6 years.
he didn't take the reins right after Jerry Brown did, right?
No, so let's see, how did it all break down? Jerry Brown, he was in the 80s, and then Jerry Brown came back again.
Right.
And we had Gray Davis, and then Gray Davis got recalled, and then we had Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay. So, Newsom was Jerry Brown's lieutenant governor, correct?
Uh, I I think that might be the case.
Okay.
I wasn't really keen on politics uh prior really to the 2016 election.
Okay. So, actually, the fires in California, they're saying that it's monumental in scope. How did
Oh,
this?
unbelievably so. I mean, this is the most destructive wildfire in California history. I mean, not because of size, but because of the cost of the homes that are involved with all of this. Yes,
Okay.
you're right. Yes, he was. Jerry Brown came in after um, Schwarzenegger, and Newsom was the lieutenant governor.
Okay. So the fire, it's like one of the biggest uh, devastation in the state in its history, correct?
Well, from a cost perspective, certainly, and definitely with all the homes that have been destroyed. I mean, we're talking thousands of homes, entire neighborhoods, wealthy neighborhoods. But it's not about the financial status of the people that have lost their homes. It's simply mismanagement that has caused all this.
Okay, so let's talk about specific issues. Let's talk about the insurance companies.
Hmm.
They they canceled a lot of people people
Hmm.
before this started. And it's kind of like looking at it from the perspective of United Healthcare, in which, people were denied coverage. And in the case of California, a lot of people's uh, homes were, you know, uninsured because of the insurance companies. So if somebody does not have insurance, they're going to have to foot the bill for this, right?
That's unfortunately the case, and that's because California is one of a handful of states that has an insurance commissioner, and our insurance commissioner has, with along with Gavin Newsom, has capped the rates for the insurance companies. But the reason the insurance companies have to charge so much, especially here in California, is because we're so prone to these types of disasters because of the lack of preparation that our state does.
Okay. So the lack of preparation, I think some of the issues are wind and water, correct?
Well, I mean, wind always plays a factor in fires, but I mean, really here it's a combination of not saving our water and dumping it out to the sea and destroying dams, and also the lack of forest management and the absence of a logging industry here in California.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So this was unexpected, right?
Well, for this time of year, certainly. Typically, our fire season is September, October, November,
Okay.
is when we would typically see stuff like this. But we've had fires this time of year before. I mean, we'll go through bouts of rainy seasons and drier seasons, and this just happens to be a drier one this year.
And there's not enough water, is there?
Well, we would have enough water if we stored it and kept it. The problem is that Gavin Newsom has been dumping the water because of the Sacramento River smelt. Uh, those very very valuable billions, if not trillions, of gallons of water all could have gone to replenish our reservoirs down here in Southern California, but instead they were simply flushed out to the sea.
So if all that water was used for, its correct purposes, the devastation would not be as bad as it is right now, correct?
Correct. Well, our firefighters, they went to the hydrants in the Palisades. There wasn't any water pressure. There wasn't water availability. In fact, I was with a resident today up in Sunset Mesa in Malibu, and the firefighter up there I spoke with said that they ran out of water. This is what they told the resident, that they had run out of water.
So if the fire company runs out of water and the winds are going to blow again, that's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. And the worst part too is we don't have the an sufficient amount of equipment here that we should have in California. In fact, California, specifically Los Angeles, so between Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom working together, we actually sent what they called extra, and I'm using air quotes for that, uh, to the Ukraine. So when you have a disaster like this, all of a sudden that extra we had doesn't seem like it was really extra to spare.
Wow. So both Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom seem to be in a little bit of hot water right now. And actually, wasn't Karen Bass and not in California when this whole debacle started?
Yeah, which I found very strange. I think everybody in California, if not the United States, finds odd why the mayor of Los Angeles would be at the presidential inauguration for Ghana.
Wow. Wow.
And then when she came home, the reporters were asking her if she had anything to say to the people of LA. Crickets. She said she's literally said nothing. No words of encouragement. No, we're working on it. No anything. Just silence.
So she's under scrutiny, correct?
Oh, well, rightfully so. I mean, She's she's done a horrible job with our homeless. Same thing with Gavin Newsom. I mean, we're just hemorrhaging money left and right under their leadership.
Wow. So this is going to go on for a number of weeks. Would you say that was correct?
Well, the fires, I haven't seen any flames today with the Palisades fires, but the way wildfires work is when it comes to hot spots, it has to 48 hours has to pass before they can say it's officially out. Um, I'm assuming that there are still fires burning, like at the Eaton fire, for example. That's over by Pasadena, Altadena area. I haven't gone over and seen that yet. I've been kind of dealing with this over here because I live immediately here. I've got my family to take care of, my
Mhm.
neighborhood to make sure is protected, because we've had looters coming into our neighborhood that we had to chase off. There was a someone trying to start a fire in our neighborhood that we had to chase off. So, uh, you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of things going on, so I haven't been able to go over there. But the fires, this whole situation, the fires, I hope will be out within the next few days. But the devastation, the rebuilding process, I mean, you're talking about well over a decade before it even seems remotely normal. But I mean, a lifetime of Los Angeles architectural history has just been wiped out.
Okay, if you say a decade, the next Olympics is scheduled for Los Angeles. Is that going to hurt the Olympics?
Well, I mean, the places that were destroyed, it's primarily residential. The Olympics, that stuff is going to take place at facilities that already exist or are being built. I mean, they're building a subway here in Los Angeles, another subway line in Los Angeles. Because of this, they're building a transportation system from LAX uh, out of there that we don't currently have. These are all projects that are being heavily funded and worked on, but I don't even know if they'll see the completion by the time the 2028 Olympics shows up.
So that's going to hurt the Olympics, correct?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's going to impact the fact that people aren't, you know, able to go to their homes. They won't have their homes to be at. I'm sure people will probably have said, "Forget California" and moved out. But I don't think the Olympics will be too impacted by this specifically.
Mm-hmm. So, you as a former and future candidate for the governorship, how uh, how has this affected you personally? I know
Well,
you said you're worried about your grandmother.
yeah, I'm at our family home. This is the home I grew up in. And so I live around the corner from her. She has power. She has internet. That's how I'm able to do this show with you right now. But Just around the corner, there is no power. And just across the freeway, the hillsides are smoldering and there are homes that have been destroyed. And so, I mean, I took it upon myself to hire private security to monitor the fire road near our house where those people were trying to start that fire. And there's increased security presence here to prevent any looters. I come back and forth between my house and here to make sure that nobody's trying to gain access to either of our properties. So, I mean, a lot of people are devastated. And on top of that, I have friends who've lost their homes. So, this is something that's going to be a very long lasting and ongoing situation for
Hmm.
many.
And it's more or less in Los Angeles. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean these fires are all in LA County for the most part. The major ones at least.
If you were to make a guess, how much damage has there been? Can you assess that into the millions of billions of dollars
I've heard upwards of 150 billion.
of property damage?
Yeah. I mean, average cost of the homes in places like in the Palisades were over $3 million. I mean but that's the valuation, not what people purchased them at. People bought those homes, 50, 60 years ago for a couple hundred grand. Obviously
Mhm.
they've appreciated in value. The value of the dollar
Right.
has decreased. So, um, yeah, I can easily see it. I mean, there's well over 4 or 5 thousand homes in that area that have been wiped out. I mean, 10,000 people are without a home for sure.
Would you say that this particular debacle is going to end the career of Newsom and Bass?
I would hope so. I think they're going to probably put as much emphasis and blame on Karen Bass to deflect from Gavin Newsom because, well, he's Nancy Pelosi's nephew and he's trying to position himself to be the Democratic presidential frontrunner for 2028.
Oh, I didn't know that he was related to Pelosi.
Hmm.
Oh,
A lot of people don't.
right. Well, if a lot of people listen to this podcast, they'll
Oh
know about
no.
it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So, um, what would you, what words of wisdom would you tell everybody out there who's listening and, you know, really concerned about the situation in California? What would you tell them?
Mm. Well, for me, I like to live my life by this too shall pass. I always look at that for the good times and the bad times. Uh, but this is something that we are going to get through, and the help will come. For those who don't have insurance, the battle is going to be very difficult. Um, and I would say, this is the time when you need to call in those favors and ask your friends and family for help. And there are going to be great charities out there that are going to help folks. I mean, nothing's ever going to be the same. I mean, something like this is so tragic and scarring. It's hard really to comfort somebody when they experience such a loss like this. Um, but there is a better way and we don't have to ever go through this again. Um, Focus more on your politics. The politics really is what's led us down this path. It's the absence of maintenance on our wildlands and forest management. It's the neglect of building more water infrastructure. It's the emphasis on putting fish in the environment above the people that have caused us to have a shortage of water. It's this vendetta against business that has caused the state to become uninsurable. And this is all done at the state level. I
What do you
mean,
mean by that? What do you mean by that? The that last thing you said about the businesses.
oh, the vendetta against
Yes.
businesses. Well, in California, we have the highest taxes in the nation when it comes to the businesses, when it comes to just personal income, the over regulatory process that we have here. The permitting process here in California is very extensive and expensive. So they're all just inhibitors to business. But in regards to the insurance companies, being one of the few states that has an insurance commissioner that has capped the rates, that has made it to the point where these insurance companies had to decide whether they wanted to operate at a net loss and go under, funding disasters in disaster prone California, or just opt out on insuring folks. They were put in that position by the state.
So you're going to run again, correct?
Correct. I've announced my candidacy in September of 2023 for
Okay.
this 26 election. I'm very, very committed to California and doing the right thing. And I've now got a really great team I'm building out. It's even more robust than the last time I did it all by myself. And I did pretty darn good for someone by myself on a shoestring budget. And now I've got more funds. I've got more people. I've got a real solid team behind me, a network that is growing exponentially. Things are going to be going very good, and I'm really looking forward to being successful this time around.
That's terrific. That's what I like to hear. Somebody who's going to give it their all.
Well, I told myself, like so many Californians, they that have left, they feel that the state has neglected them and made this place unlivable. It's clearly unaffordable. The education here is so poor. We were dead last in the nation. We spend the most money on it. There's so many foundational issues that make people say, you know what, I'm done. And then they move to, quote unquote, greener pastures, to states that have no state income tax or extremely low ones, where they can buy a big home for a fraction of what, a small home here in California would be. They can
Mhm.
afford to take the vacations and buy the toys that they want to have. Of course, it makes perfect sense. I told myself that I will not leave California unless I put my best foot forward and it doesn't work out. Otherwise, I put my best foot forward and it does. Things are going to get really good for everybody. And it's not about Republican, Democrat, Green Party, Libertarian, whatever affiliation you are. It's about doing what's right for the people, because no matter what, at the end of the day, there's one legislative body, there's the state Senate and the state assembly, and then you have the one executive leader, the governor, and they all have to work together to represent the people of California. So if you're not focused on doing what's right and best for the people, what's going to make their lives affordable and quality, then you're not really representing the people. You're representing some other interest of a party that doesn't represent everyone.
I see. So, good luck. I mean, uh, and of course, with the Olympics coming in, that's going to be pretty exciting.
Well, I mean, we have the Olympics are after this last Olympics. Hopefully I'll be the governor then, and I can guarantee you it will be the best Olympics in almost 100 years.
That's terrific. So, Leo, as things happen in California, because of the fires, would you come back on issues that matter and update us?
Sure, be my
Okay.
pleasure.
Thank you. So you've been listening to Leo Zacky, and I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is Issues That Matter. If you like this program, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you, Zach. And I'm sorry, Leo. I'm sorry.
Everybody does it. It's okay. Zach, Leah, I know who you're talking to.
And thank you, everybody. We'll talk again because this is an issue that it might be in California right now, but I'm sure it affects everybody because everybody's heart goes out to California right now. So thank you, and thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great day.